welcome to Annie's Reviews. Today I'm going to go back to 1995 and the chilling David Fincher, Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman film, Se7en. Now I've chosen to review Se7en on Blu Ray simply because earlier on this week I went to see The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, which was a dark, vicious, aggressive portrayal in terms of a mystery that I haven't seen the likes of since Se7en or Silence of the Lambs, which to me I hold as the two greatest serial killer films ever. So, the reason I'm going back to Se7en today is someone I like, who I used to work with, good guy, fantastic person, but he said that Se7en was the precursor for the likes of Saw, and the current film that's out, the Saw, the extreme version or whatever. First thing to say is this, okay, Se7en, in terms of the crimes that are committed by the John Doe character, played by Kevin Spacey, is not the crimes that he does. Yes, they have a technique, they have a method to the killings, but in the Saw is torture porn. So with Saw, you get this kind of infantilized violence where it's kind of salacious and it's almost done in a sexual manner, so you're enjoying the cruelty that's being dished out to the characters. Point is, with Se7en, you never actually see the crimes take place, you only actually see the aftermath of the crimes. So that comparison between Se7en and the Saw films, there is no comparison. And just to place that even in some more context, within the base of Se7en, yes, you have a serial killer film, but essentially the film is a reflection on the banality, the tough, the sometimes violent, the sometimes soul-destroying nature of life as you live it. And you have the two polar opposites in terms of the argument on the virtue or non-virtue of human existence, centered around the Morgan Freeman character and the David Mills character played by Brad Pitt. Now this, for me, is summed up in a scene after they've just seen the results of the Lust killing. They go to a bar, Freeman's drinking, I think, bourbon or wine, and then you have Pitt with a beer, which perfectly sums their characters up, to be honest. But okay, they basically debate the fact that Pitt believes in life, and he thinks that people, the human race, should strive for something better, and that we shouldn't kind of look at terrible events and think, no, this is what life is like, let's just accept it. Whereas the Freeman character, he's older than Pitt, and he's seen how wrong, how vicious and how evil at times life can be, and he doesn't really believe in the existence of humanity as a good thing, but he wants to maintain it nevertheless. So in terms of that, the two characters are alike, but they're not in terms of their worldview, and that's a key complex argument about Se7en, is the fact that are we all just kind of sinners, and how much do we sin, or is it about the fact that yes, we sin, but all of that leads us to a virtuous place, not necessarily one dominated by religion or a God figure, but one that's dependent on human morality, of which Morgan Freeman doesn't seem to think exists. That's the key question about Se7en, and it's even the question that the killer raises by doing all of those terrible things to the to his victims, basically. So for the serial killer John Doe, people deserve to be punished for sin and not redeemed by it, whereas Brad Pitt's outlook is that people can be redeemed, and he wants to work within the framework of the police force to ensure that justice is done and that to move towards something better. And the key thing is, it's Pitt who actually, of course, his wife has her head decapitated. He fails in his aim, and perhaps that leads the film to a melodramatic, almost cynical view of the world, but which is all brought back round on its head by the Ernest Hemingway quote at the end of the film. So that's the key thing with Se7en. It's a complex, beautiful film. The fact that the city that all of this takes place in is not named means that you can use the city as a metaphor for the developed world, because it's not New York, it's not Los Angeles, you never know where the city is, and in fact there are no political figures that you would recognise, nothing. It all seems to incorporate and encapsulate a self-containing world that is aggressive and hurtful. So, okay, that's another brilliant thing about Se7en. And finally, I'll just say that in terms of comparisons to Saw, I think my arguments as to why Se7en is a great film mean that all of these comparisons saying that Se7en is like Saw and that Saw is like Se7en. Saw is atrocious. People who like that film, why do you like it? It's wrong. It's just not wrong in terms of violence. I don't mind violence on screen. What I do mind is just complete rubbish, which Saw is. Okay, let's just clear that up now. That's the fact. So yes, Se7en on Blu Ray is nothing like Saw. It's a fantastic serial killer film, along with Silence of the Lambs and Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, which necessarily isn't a serial killer film. It's more of a Swedish outtake on the failings of corporate society and the corruption that exists within capitalist society, and a thrilling kind of Miss Marple, Sherlock Holmes murder mystery with extreme sexual violence. So I'll group all those three films together as my favourite murder mystery thrillers, and that's all I've got to say. Goodbye.